In the previous video, we learned how to sign up for an OSF account and create a new project. In this video, we'll take a tour and learn about the basic features in the project space. At the top of your project space is some basic information about the project, including a list of contributors and the dates created and most recently updated. To help organize your projects, you can choose from a list of categories, with the default being simply Project. This category doesn't change anything about the layout, but serves as an identifier to help you organize your projects. You can also choose a license to share your project under. This is an important feature all shared projects should have. The drop-down provides a list of the most popular open licenses for scholarly work and software. If the license you want isn't listed, you can select Other and upload the appropriate license in your file directory. Also along the top, you will find controls for sharing your work. You can change the privacy setting from its default status of private to public. While you can change it back to private from public, it's important to remember that items may be cached by search engines while the project is public, and so it may not be possible to completely make your project private again. For this reason, you should keep your project private until you are sure that you're ready to share it. One way of sharing your project is to allow people to create a fork or copy of the project. Another user would be able to edit their forked version of the project without changing the original. The first section in the main body of your project space is the wiki. The wiki is a great place to add some context to your project. We'll talk about it more in later videos on use cases. Next, you'll find the file storage section. This is really the heart of your project space, where you can upload, view, and organize your files. Each project comes with default OSF storage, but you can also connect a number of popular third-party apps. For example, if you have code stored in GitHub, documents in Google Drive, and citations in Zotero, these can all be connected and integrated with your OSF project. The next section is your project citation. The citation is automatically generated in major citation styles based on your contributor list. You can also use the drop-down menu to select additional styles, or you can write your own citation in the Citation Edit dialog. Next, you can add and view components of your project. A component is really just a sub-project. It has its own wiki space and file storage, privacy settings, tags, and contributors. Components can also be used to give each collaborator their own project space and to separate different kinds of materials, like code, methods, and analysis, especially if you want to make some parts of your project public while keeping other parts private. For these reasons, they're useful for teams of researchers working together. The next section in your project space are your project tags. Tags can help make your project more discoverable if it's public by associating it with similar projects. To add a tag, click in the box, start typing, and then hit enter when you're done. The last section displays recent activity on the project with a timestamp. This automatically populates with any changes any collaborators have made so that you can keep track of changes. That's everything in your main project space, but you can take additional control using the menu at the top of the screen. On some of these pages, the menu will move to the left-hand side of the screen instead, but it's all the same options from that menu at the top of the screen. Metadata allows you to change some aspects of your project, most of which can also be edited from the project overview. Files provide you with an additional means of manipulating your project files. The Wiki panel is the only place where you can make changes to your project's wiki. Analytics allows you to view some useful metrics about how often users come to your project and how they are directed there, but this is only available for projects that have been made public. Registration tracks the status of any registrations that you have associated with your project. Contributors allows you to add or remove additional project collaborators. OSF has 3 levels of permissions. Administrators can edit projects as well as add or remove collaborators. A user with read and write permissions can edit a project, but not its contributors. And someone with read-only permissions can view a project, but not make any changes to it. The Contributors tab also allows you to create a view-only link to your project. This is especially useful for situations in which you need to grant access to your project space to someone who doesn't have an OSF account. For example, a peer reviewer who needs access to your data prior to publication. Next is the add-ons section, where you can configure access to any additional tools you're using alongside OSF. These can be especially useful for linking other places where your files are stored. And finally, there are your project settings. These settings give you fine-grained control over your project, such as the ability to enable or disable comments on a public project, or to receive email notifications when changes are made. That's all for the major sections of your project space. In future videos, we will look at how you can configure your space to support different research use cases.